I'm audible, right? With no fluctuations.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the confirmation. So this is how we have been writing a method, right? Right. So, but the thing is, there are few components over here. We know that this curly braces will be considered, whatever we are going to write between these two curly braces will be treated as the body of that method, right? That thing is known, right? Another thing would be this thing, right? This thing is name. All right, so let's take this thing first dissect this. What is this? This is access modifier, right? Public is access modifier. So can I take and what is void is return type, right? And this is method name. So one thing arises, can I use more than one access modifier or a modifier, not access modifier, just a modifier? Can I use more than one modifier with a method? The answer is yes. I can use zero access modifier, zero modifier as well, right? This is also the same, right? There is no issue with this also. And I can add additional as well, right? Static. This is context modifier, right? Then I can add final also, right? So I can add multiple modifiers whenever I want. But that thing, the combination of the modifiers should be legal. That thing is required because this is access modifier, right? So if I try to add another access modifier like public and private at the same time, then this will be illegal, right? Illegal combination of modifier. We cannot use it simultaneously. So the modifiers that we are trying to use should be legal to use with conjunction of another one, right? So that would be the first case. And now the thing is, I can, and this would be the, and in the way that we write is, first there will be list of modifiers, then after the list of modifiers we will write, and it's mandatory in Java to write the return type, and if you don't want to return anything then it would be void, and then the method name, and then the parameter list, right? And the parameter list, I can take any number of parameters, right? And another question, how many parameters can I take? Is there a limit? The answer is no. You can take unlimited amount of parameters, it's on you. But we never take more than 3 parameters. It's not in the coding conventions. If you want to take more than 3 parameters, if your method requires more than 3 parameters, then it's better to convert that particular method into a class, right? And then try to pass the object instead of sending 10 to 20 variables. All right, given said that, so there will be a list of parameters, right? So I can add the list of parameters, and then there is exception handling, which this thing we are not going to cover. It's just we are going to cover this in during the exception handling part. Right now we are not going to cover this, right? So this is how we write a method, right? If you go to the notes over here, you can see this method syntax. The first would be modify list, right? Over here, if you see, there is only one modifier, right? So I can add another one that I have added earlier, right? So this would be the modifier list. I have used 3 modifiers. Then I have to write the return type. Return type over here is void, right? I can change it to int, and anything I can convert it to, right? So let's keep it void for now. Then there would be a method name. Our method name is m1, right? And then there will be a parameter list. It can be 1, it can be none, like the return type. For none it's void. For parameter list, I can take it empty, I can add a number of parameters, right? It's completely depends on the business logic that we are trying to execute, right? Post that, I can add throws exception, right? Whatever it do, we'll say it in the later sessions. But this is how we write a method signature, alright? Or this would be the method syntax. Cool till now? So let's move to the what we call method signature. See, the method name along with parameter list is called method signature. So this method name and the parameter list, this thing only is called method signature, right? This is just the terminology. When someone says, okay, change the method signature, then it will start working, right? So it's just a terminology that one needs to know. So the method name along with the parameter list would be the method signature. And as we have already would have guessed, that it requires to be unique, right? Because the signatures needs to be unique. So the method name along with the parameter list needs to be unique in a class. That's why we call it method signature. Cool till now, right? And we have already already covered the instance and static variable differentiations already. So all right, so we can see this example for now. All okay, this thing I'll cover later on. Cool. So this would be the first thing, how we can create a method, right? And now what is overloading? What is overloading? Suppose I have a operation I require, and what I need to do is, okay, the requirement I have is I have two variables, right? A10 and B20, right? So my requirement is I should get the value, I should get the sum of two integers, right? This is my requirement. So what can I do? And then eventually I want to print, the values sum of A plus B equals to, and then the C, and better to change it to sum. So now what I can do, instead of just taking these two, I want to use this, let's convert, okay, let's take this class as math. That's it. We are going to extend this example only, right? Maths, my math. All right, and then in the my math, okay. So in my math, I should create an object of my math first. My math equals to new my math. And how can we access the instance variable method? Using the reference variable, right? So I can give A and B, right? And I'm expecting that this method will revert stuff, right? And let me just print the, okay, my math add int, right? So this method is called, so I'm just printing it, right? So if I try to run this example, the output would be 30, right? And the method that I have called is integer, right? Am I audible?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's suppose that now I had this thing right now earlier with me, but now I have integer C, sorry, instead of integer I have float C equals to 10, and then float, okay, cool. Okay, no, let's not ask the question right, otherwise a lot of people don't know a lot of stuff. Cool. So let's say it's 30 and it's 40. So I want the sum now, new sum, right? Float sum. Now I want the float sum, right? And in my math now there is a method, right, with the same name already, right? So I have to do the addition only, right? But I have to say please add the float, right? Because the same name, we cannot create methods of same name, right? Everyone is aware of this, right? We cannot duplicate a method. If we try to duplicate a method, then which method to call, right? There will be ambiguity. So I'm changing the method name and just saying that A, and then float is called, right? So return, and I should make it as a float also, and return A plus and B. Cool. So now what I'll do, I'll say that okay, my math dot add float and C and D, right? And sys out sum of C plus D equals to sum, right? If I try to execute this now,
Float sum.
okay, float sum, my bad, float sum, right? Now this is 70, and earlier it was 30, right, when I try to add the integer. But the thing is, it does not make sense, right? The functionality is same, right? And the thing that we try to create is a part. It will be a part of abstraction that we'll see in the later sessions. But the thing over here is, I need to know a lot of methods, right? The operation that I am doing is simple basic math, right? Of addition. I'm doing just addition. But the thing is, I need to mention it that add float, then add this and add that, then it won't make sense to me, right? Because it's, I mean, because we are already aware of these things that if I want to add to integer float, we are a developer and we have started from the primitive data types, right? So that's how we know which thing to use where. But it makes the language hard. Also, it will increase the time of the developer to check the number of methods that exist, right? The different name of the method that exists to perform the same operations. We have 4 basic mathematical operations, right? Addition, multiplication, division and subtraction, right? So if I have 8 data types, then if I have to create 8 different methods for each one of the data types, then it will be 8 into 4, right? Then there will be 32 operations. But if I want, just to make sure that okay, I want to make addition of a single, I will just create a one method add, and then I can overload it. And what does it mean by overload? That if is there any way possible that I can use the same name of the method, then that would be the overloading. The same thing, the method name has been overloaded with different parameters, right? Different method signatures. So what does it mean by different parameter signature? It's obvious that if I try to duplicate this add method, then it will throw an error, right? Because there will be an ambiguity to which one we call, right? Error. It will say that it is already defined, right? Great, it is defined. But what if I just convert this add, right, and just make add, right? So will the code run, or it will give some error now? It will run, because that's the concept of overloading, right? Java will internally match that this add method, because I am passing integers. Okay, the first thing is overloading would be same method name. The condition of the overloading will be the method name should be same, right? First condition, the method name should be same, but the signature will be different. How will the signature different? The parameter number or the parameter list will be different, right? Over here what I have done, the parameter numbers are same, but parameter types are different, right? It's integer A, it's integer B, right? Int, and over here it's float, right? But can I overload it with less parameters? Okay, so let's say that integer I want to return. Let's take an example of this thing, right? So just copy paste it, right? There is an error, right? I will just change the number of parameters, right? Integer B I'll remove, and I will return integer A only. Cool, no error, I can use it. Again I can copy paste this thing again and I can remove the parameter and return some anything, right? 0. Cool, completely acceptable. This is called overloading. Where and how can we achieve the overloading? The one thing is the method name should be same. It's called method overloading. Method name is same, right? Add. But over here the parameter number is different, right? The parameter types are same, integer, and over here it's empty, right? But method name is same. So this is an example where the number of we are overloading a method by using different parameter list, right? Different number of parameters. And if I just copy paste this method, then there will be an exception, right? So if I just simply, if I'll make sure just I return 10, and if I take float over here, right? Then this is also overloading. Right now what I have done, I have just changed. Okay, just give me 1 second. Start the recording again. Cool. All right. So we have seen the method signature, right? So we can this thing over here what we have seen. Am I audible right now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, yes.
So this is an example of method overloading, right? M1 method with one parameter and M1 method with two parameters, right? So this is going to be a part of method overloading. Cool. So that would be the first thing. And okay, okay. This thing we are going to cover. Okay, this keyword will be. We'll take this keyword later on. All right, cool. So overloading is clear, right, with everyone? Anyone having any doubt? All right, cool. So now we are going to, I'm giving 5 seconds, right? If anyone have any doubt, then please let us know. Otherwise, we are going for the interview questions, right? Cool. All right. No one is asking anything. Then great. All right. So now the thing is, I'll call Rana. Now you have to let me know the answers, right? Whenever I'm writing, please make sure that you read the code, so that whenever I'm done with writing the code, okay, I will share with you that the repo. I have shared the repo, right, with all of you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll push the code over there as well, right? So sys out my math. So as soon as I'm done with writing the code, you should be able to answer, right? Int and int, right? This method will be called and I will return a plus b. Cool. And then what I will do over here, integer would be a, that would be 10, integer b, that would be 20, and I want to just print the value, right? And I need to create an object. Let's create in the first line itself, my math equals to new my math. Great. So math dot add and then a comma b, a comma b. Cool. If I run it, what will be the output? Okay, wrong, what has happened? I'm over this runner, right? My math, I don't need to import it. Cool. So what will be the output if I try to run this code?
My math int and then 30.
Yes. So that would be the right answer. Okay, let me show it as well. The answer is right. The sum is 30, right? Okay, we can also sum is and plus. Cool. So the output will be little better to read, right? Sum is 30. I'm just adjusting, right? Sum is 30. Cool. Great. Everything is fine till now, right? So what we have seen that with the overloading, that I cannot add the same method, right? But I can change the parameters, right? So if I do the float, then it will work, right? So let's take an example where I will just copy paste this, right? And take byte and byte. All right. Then which one will be called, and why it will be called, and will this compile or will this not compile? You have 4 options.
We might get an error because the return type is not byte.
All right, everyone agrees? Okay, one can disagree as well, one can agree as well.
I think the most parameter matching will happen. I think. Type of parameter whichever will match, that will be taken.
All right, will the code compile or not compile? Let's just go with that first. Right, single problem, right? There is no problem. Okay, cool. Okay, will the code compile or not compile? First thing, if compile, then we'll go to the next code part.
Yeah, it will compile.
All right. Dikshita, you are saying that it will not compile, right? So,
Yeah.
okay. The thing is, code will compile, right? And why will it compile, Kishore?
Because int has larger range than byte. Is
Yes,
that
exactly
No,
fine, right? The thing is, if you take two integers value, right? If you take two, if I take over here, okay, let's do one thing, right? Let's just do one thing. I have taken int, right? If I take byte, what will happen now? Will it compile? Not compile? If compile, which one will be called?
the first one should be called?
Okay, and the code will compile, right?
Yeah.
Everyone agree? All right. Let me add one more, right? Just similar to this. Okay, let's just tackle this first more, right? The thing is, the code will not compile. Now the reason. How? What is the range of a byte? Okay, let me show you. I mean, over here you can see, right? You cannot return it, right? If I try to run it, it won't run. All right. Lossy conversion. We will see why this happening, right? But can anyone answer? Okay, why it's not allowed? Although it seems completely fine, right? But it's not allowed. Why? The answer again lies in the first session that we had, right? What is the range of a byte?
Minus 128 to 127.
Yes. Now when we deal with any number in this range, right? So if I try to operate, there is four basic operations, right, that we do mostly. Subtraction, it's BODMAS with mathematics, multiplication, divisions, subtraction, and addition, right? So these operations we are going to do mostly in our daily lives, right? Whenever whatever we are doing, we are going to basically do these operations only. So now the number range of a byte is positive till 127, right? Eventually what we do online, the most of the jobs are in the online platform, right? Online e-commerce, be it Amazon, Flipkart, Swiggy, Zomato, everything if there is something online, then we are there to sell our services, right? Otherwise it does not make sense to be online, right? Otherwise offline is better. So if we have made something online, we want to sell it to more people using the computer. That's the basic thing. So one thing is sure for the industry, in whichever, okay, just give me 1 second. All right, cool. So in whichever industry we are, if you are working in the IT, we are there to sell our services, right? If we sell our services, we'll do the selling also, right? Because that just means selling. So the basic operation that we are going to do with that is we will do the taxes and all those operations. I'm just giving some random stuff, right? So I mean it's true. So the thing is, mostly we are going to deal with some money, right, or the numbers. So and we are going to make some operation on those numbers. So if you see, the Java has been developed in the country of USA, right? Most of the languages are developed in the US only. So the USA, if you'll see, if you try to buy anything in the USA also, and if you try to use the byte, then what will eventually happen? You need to add 2 bytes, right? So if you try to add 2 bytes, eventually if something costs you $80 and something costs you $90, right? Then the total will be $170, right? $170 cannot, this byte cannot hold this value, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
So the basic operation that you are doing, and if you are using a byte, you are using integer, right? And if you are using more than one integer or even a single integer, then two, if you try to operate anything on it, the what will eventually can happen, your mathematical operation might overload the value that you can handle. Like in this example, this has been overloaded in the positive side, right? It can overload in the negative side as well if I take just minus both of them. So that's why it's saying that the return type should be int, right? It should not be byte, it should be int. Because people that have created the Java has put this constraint that okay, if the two small numbers, if we are trying to add, we should take a larger number there, right, to hold it. So treat it, think it as a bucket, right? You have a bucket of 128 liters, right? If you try to add those 128 liter bucket, 1.2 liter bucket, right, then it's better to hold it. If you want to operate on it, then it's better to take a larger bucket of at least 10 or 20 liters. So with that you can make sure that you will never have the condition of overflowing, right? Because this thing, byte takes 1 byte, right? 1 byte, 1 byte, 2 byte, and the integer, this value is integer, right? Because Java says that if you try to operate, you used to try to operate arithmetic operations on the 2 byte, then we will be expecting an integer. So that's what it's doing over here, right? So this is of 1 byte and this is of 1 byte, right? But the integer is of 4 byte, right? So there will be some data loss, right? Because if you try to fit the data of 4 byte into 2 bytes, then there will be an error, right? So that's why it's saying that the lossy conversion will be there. All right, one thing that this would be a 4 byte and I'm trying to hold it in the 2 byte, 1 byte, right? Byte is will store.
No, but Abhishek, we have mentioned the type as type of A and B as type byte. How can it
Yes,
be? How can it take it as int?
that's what I'm trying to explain. This thing has been hard coded in the language Java. In the compile
Acha.
time it will check, because the 125 and 127 is way too basic number, right?
Yeah,
Because if you
but
try,
what if you want to implement the quantity in the in the cart, like items quantity? For example, if we go to a jewelry e-commerce website, we don't buy more
okay.
than uh, maybe 10 or something. So in that case, this would be useful, right?
Completely no. All right, all right. Okay, okay, cool, great. Okay, you will have some check over there, right? You will have some check that the order. Let's say that there is some quantity int quantity, right? There will be some int quantity, right? And okay, okay, all right. Let me show you how we are going to deal with this situation, right? So validate quantity, this will be a method, right? And then you will have a quantity, right? And then you can say if the quantity is greater than, and then there will be a variable, right? I'm just writing it over here that the quantity, max quantity will be 100, right? But it will be from like public static, okay, private static, oh my bad, private static final, and then max, and then quantity equals to 10, right? See, and it will be int. This is the coding convention. Whenever you are writing a variable, it will be all caps, right? So the quantity should be greater than the max quantity. In this particular case, I will throw an error, I will throw exception, and during the exception, okay, let me just copy paste it, right? Let me just show you how we do it. All right, okay, my bad. Okay, batch is completely cool, test, right? Time. I will delete this folder, right? This will not be the code that will be shared with you. So case overflow case, let's say overflow case, and over here this is the quantity, right? Max quantity. Okay, I need to copy paste the max quantity as well. Then here is the max quantity, and let's make it static. All right, so, and then I require a runner. Okay, my bad. And then from here I will say that quantity ordered will be, let's say, 5, and then I will use, okay, it will be helper, right? This will be helper, and so need to change the name. It will be helper, right? quantity validator, and now the static is there, and the throw exception, and that would be runtime exception, and the exception name would be over, okay, quantity not allowed, quantity not allowed. All right, so just new, and else let's print, right? Else print sysout quantity allowed, or instead of quantity allowed, let's just say that order placed, right? Okay, why it's showing error? Okay, let me just comment it out, and over here sysout order placed. Cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call quantity validator dot validate quantity, and then I will send this thing, right? So right now what will happen? Order missing return statement. Where? Oh, okay, cool, my bad. Return 0, right? Let's go back to our code and run it again. Because the quantity that I want to order is 5, right? So it's completely fine, the order will be placed. But as soon as I'll make the quantity 11 and I try to run it, now there will be an exception, right? Quantity not allowed. And then in the Spring Boot there will be some global exception handler which will take this thing and map it with some error code that you have in your system, and then return the error code with the message that you have, right? This is the flow. That's how we write the code, right? It's not that we need to have our own issue, right, with the number. It should not be, right, it should be overloaded, right? We are not going to entertain the exceptions that occur in the Java, right? We need to have our own exceptions. So this is how we are going to handle it, right? You can check it on your code base as well. This is how you also, I mean, there are different stuff. There will be some enums with error names, right? And error coding. So cool, let's just delete it. Okay, it is clear, right, to you, Dikshita?
Yeah, but I mean, what if I still want to store something less than 10? How?
You can do it, right? You can what you can do, see, let me just bring back the entire code again, right? Over here in this code, if you are saying that there might be a chance that your quantity, if from the front end also you have some validation that it should not cross the value of like integer, or let's say byte, right? So what you can do simply over here is change this to byte, right? That's it, byte, great, no worries. It's still quantity not allowed, right? Still if you do it 5, then it still will work, order place. The ranges is not for adding the checks, right? It won't be able, you won't be able to even compile the code, right? Your code won't compile if you write something that cannot be holded by the value, right? Because if I'll try to, I mean, see, if I try to send over here 256, right, my code cannot handle it, right? This will throw an error because byte incompatible, right? Lossy conversion, 256 require more than 8 bits, right? So it cannot hold it. But how we are going to handle it, right? Your code won't compile because in the runtime you don't know which value will come to you, right? Because the data will be coming
More
from the
than
UI, right? It will come from the
yeah.
browser or the network call, right? So if it
Yeah.
happens, you must be even at least, and then it will be an error in your system, and then your server will throw the error 500 only, right? But it should never be the case. Your server should be able to get the value, and if you are able to get the value, then you decide, okay, this value is way too large for me, now I'm going to return an error. Okay, so this, the error number is, error code is 007, and the error message is quantity, whatever I have written over here, right? I mean, let's just take 10. The error code could be E0007, and the error message could be this thing, quantity not allowed, right? So that's how we write an API. If your API will give error 500, then how will be the other person who are integrating with your API, or who is consuming your API, even if you are front-end developer, how would he know that what's happening in your backend? Okay, so that's not the part of Java course also. So this is something that your seniors will groom you, right? Whenever you try to write something, that your seniors will groom you. So again, back to our, okay, it's 10:05, right? All right. Just give me 1 second. All right, we have to end this topic today. We're not going to take it tomorrow. All right, cool. So now everyone cool with this thing, right? Because if I want to make addition of 2 byte, then it, because these values are way too less, so the output that we require would be a integer. Cool. but what if like if someone wants the thing to be in byte only, right? So if someone wants, no, I want the byte only, right? I'm adamant that okay, the byte should be there and I will typecast this thing to a byte. Will it the code work or not work? Will the code compile or not compile? Am I audible?
Yeah, it will compile.
Okay, everyone agrees, right? Okay. What's the error? All right, cool. Okay, let me show you now 2 3 things, right? It's way too basic. Again, at least 1 or 2 should be able to answer few things, right? Again, we are working with the basic, right? So this is one thing, right? This is not working, we have seen. So let me just do one more thing. Let me just remove it from here, paste it here, right? One thing, and do one more thing. Then I just keep it here, and I just do it like this. Cool. Will any one of these 3 work, or no one, nothing will work?
The last one should work.
Yes, and the reason it was not working because it was converting a to byte, and a was byte only, right? So I was
Okay.
doing the same operation only. Byte was a, so byte plus byte, and it should be an integer, right? Over here
Yeah.
also, that's why I have written this example so that you will be able to understand that what's happening over here, right? So over here, this is
Okay.
byte, and I'm converting byte into byte again. And the final one should work, right? Let's
Yeah.
see, right? No errors, right? Cool. So if
Yeah.
you are adamant to use this thing, right? And now what can happen? Is this a good practice or a bad practice? All right, cool. Okay, let's first check this thing, right? I'll just remove this thing, right? Right now we have only one method, byte and byte, right? So let's go to the runner, and okay, it's obviously going to give error. So now the byte and byte, right? 10 and 20. I'll try to run it, all right? Great, the 30 is the answer that we have over here, right? But what if I do it as 100, which is allowed, again 100, which is allowed, right? 200, and if I try to run it, the answer would be minus 156. Again, you can check it why it is minus 156, because the number that I'm trying to hold becomes larger, right? And we have seen if the value is 1, that means the number is negative, right? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, I'm not going to dive deep into this thing why the number has become negative. If you are going to work with the lead code also, there will you will find you're going to find some questions where your answer will become negative, because there will be 2 integer value that we will try to add or subtract or multiply, which will provide us a larger number. So we have to use over there the big integers, or if you're using some different language, then different classes or data type you have to use. So that's the thing. With integers, if you are trying to overload it, it will become negative in most of the cases. Cool. So that's it. So the answer is not correct, right? 200, it cannot print 200, so it becomes minus 56, right? And this is not something that we want, right? If some bank has hired you and someone is trying to deposit 200 rupees and you are saying your balance is minus 56, your bank will be shutting down, right? And you will lose your job. So this will be the worst case thing that you can do with your code. Never force something that is not allowed, right? This is why Java people has forced us to use the integer. Now if I try to run it, the answer will be 200. Cool. Understood, Kishore, why we are using this? Why there is a constraint regarding this?
Abhishek, yeah, now I understand.
Okay, great. So let's move again. Again, this was basics. So let's just bring back our method, earlier method that we have. Okay, so let's convert it into int, and don't need to do anything, and don't require what this as well. Okay, so which method will be called, right? This is byte and byte. Which method will be called? If I'm okay, so right now I'm passing byte a, right? So which method will be called? And instead of this, if I try to directly pass 100, right, over there you will be able to understand, right, that it was a byte. Okay, let's I will ask that later on, right? Let's now tell me which method will be called.
The method with the byte parameters.
Great, right? If I'll make it int, then integer will be called, right? Integer will be called, right? My method int is called. Cool, great, nice. But let's try to add one more thing. Let's try to, okay, this was short byte, then there is short, right? One thing you need to check that, okay, when we do the addition of a plus b, right, we can still work with integers, right? So this is a constraint also. While doing the coding questions also, you need to make sure this thing post integer, because this value 200 integer can hold up to 214 crores 70 lakh something, right? So the people of the Java, they thought that, okay, it's completely all right to, if we try to add two larger numbers, then it's completely all right if we are trying to add it, right? And we are not forcing the developer to use the long, right? So that's with the int, right? But is it with short also? If I try to write short, then will there be an error or not? All right, there will be an error, right? Because for short as well, it wants an integer, right? What's the maximum range of short? 32,000, right? 32,000 something. So it requires int also. Cool. It will return int. This will return int. This will return int. This will return int, right? So now let's take long add long a and long b. Cool. And simple math add, and then long and long, and obviously return a plus b. Cool. For this it will be short, and this for it will be short. Cool. Now everyone understand we have four methods right now, right? Byte byte, short short, int int, and long long, right? So cool. Now everyone was aware because the data type was mentioned over here, right? So if I pass directly 100 and 100, which method will be called? 100 can be hold by at least, let's say 10 right? 10 we can hold with byte also, with integer also, with short also, and with long also, right? So which one will be called? Again, only 10 seconds, right?
Byte method, because it saves memory.
Okay, again, answer is integer. So now today you have learned one thing. If you write anything, right, if you're trying to pass anything, right, I haven't defined it to be an integer, right? But if you write anything non-decimal, the value will be treated as integer in Java. Cool. So whether you write in this way or you write int a equals to 10 and int b equals to 10 and then pass a and b over here, it will be and completely same int, right? And even if you try to remove it, then also it will be int and int, the same output will be there. Cool. All right.
But won't the memory be wasted for int?
Okay, the thing is, the language Java cannot, and not even the language Java, right? No language cannot write, so no people who are creating a language can write so much code to check everything, right? What will it do? It will make the compile time almost impossible, right? And this thing is of runtime, right? If it's going to compute so much things, then the Java as a language will become slow.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So now we know if we pass anything, then it will be treated as integer, right? So how can I make sure that my long, if I want to make sure that long is called, how can I make sure? I need to add L, all right? If I add L, it will be treated as long, right? Now if I try to run it, long method has been called, right? Visible? And
Yeah.
what about short, right? Now for short and byte you cannot do anything, you have to just write it like this only, short and short. Cool. So this is the only way that you can do, or just simply write. Okay, why int is called? Wait. All. Okay.
Sure.
Why int is called? Oh my bad. Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have tried to typecast it,
Yeah.
but still I'm on integer, right? But short is also there, right?
S should be short. S smaller.
Now if I try to run it, it will be short, right? This example, it was a typo from my end. This example we would have seen in case of wrapper classes, but it's completely cool. All right, just forget what has happened, right? Right now just make sure that if I typecast, then it will be mapped with that particular method only, right? Because I have typecasted it. Cool. Clear till now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So now we have worked with these four values, right? These four values we have worked with right now. So now what I'm going to do, we have float, right? And float add, we can add float as well. Great. Float and then a and then float and p. Cool. And the same thing we're going to do, right? Okay, so it will be float, right? Great. And the next thing we are going to do, double. These are the only numeric items, right? Double. Cool. So need to convert it to double. Right. So right now if I try to run this, which method now it will call? It has float as well right now, float and decimal as well.
Int.
Yes, no brainer, because we have just discussed that if we by default if we type any integer, it will be treated as an integer data type, right? Regardless of its size, whether it can be hold by byte, short, long, does not matter, right? It will be treated as int only. Cool. So if I try to run it, the output will be int only, right? Cool. What if I write 10 point, okay, let's say 9.5 and 10.5. Now which method will be called?
Double. Float.
Okay, why double and why float?
Because decimal is the
For
So
decimals we
it
have
should be
two.
float.
All right, cool.
Because double has a higher range than float.
Yeah.
Just like how int has a higher range compared to the other integer
Right.
data types.
Yes, yes, cool. So this is a thing that everyone should know, right? It's a part. So the thing is, you can even get the thinking of these people as well, right? The first thing is, if we try to the byte and short, right? They don't trust the byte and short, right? To be a default value, because if you try to operate on byte and short, they want it to be int. So the default type will be int, right? So the default type of an integer is integer in Java, but the default type of a decimal will be double. So if I run it, the double method will be called, right? Again, the logic is same, right? The maximum value we are using from the start. Cool. If you want to take the lesser value, you need to know that your value can be saved, right? If I am creating a language, I need to make sure that people using my language have the maximum least amount of failures in their system, right? So that's why the checks of byte plus byte will be integer is placed, right? If someone is a fool, and I mean, if someone is not good with the language, right, and in a college or a school, and if he tries to write something or try to create a project of its own, and he does not know how the internal works and what's the range and all those things, then Java don't allow. If you try to use short or byte, right, Java don't allow the code to be get compiled, right? Because it will say that okay, you need to use integer. So that's how Java saved that particular person a lot of money if they're trying to create a pay bank for the children or something. So that's how the language is created. Similarly with the Spring Boot, you will see the same concerns, right? They're trying to make sure that their framework is so resilient that if even a beginner is using it, then too the code will run properly. Just an example, I'm not going to dive deep into that. If you are using Spring Boot and you just mentioned that you need to want to use Hibernate and all, right? Or then what will happen? It will automatically add multiple softwares with you, and you won't even know, but inside that connection pooling will be provided for free. So that's why if you're a Java developer and you're creating a microservice from the Spring Boot, and if you don't know the concept of connection pooling and how it can make your API faster or slower, then again it's completely alright, right? Because your language framework has taken care of that. But the same thing, if you're trying to write in PHP, then you need to download a separate jar for that, and then I mean whatever we use in the PHP, and then we need to implement that thing for the connection pooling. So that's the difference in between the different languages, how they, I mean, what people think while creating a framework or a language, that there should be least number of failures that should happen, and least effort should be there to create a project. That's on these things, the success of a language or a framework depends, right? Cool. So let's move forward. So now today we learned two things, that the default integer will be the default mathematical integer will be an integer data type in Java, and the default decimal mathematical number will be a double in Java, right? Clear till now? Clear, right? Anyone having any
Yeah.
doubts? Okay, great. So now tell me, if I pass this thing 9 and 10.5 now which one will be called? Will there be an error, or if not, will there be an error, and do I need to add another variable? If not, then what will be then what will be the case that we need to take care of?
Double will be called because again 9 is 9.0.
Cool, cool, nice deduction skills, right? Great. Double will be called. Why? Because the thing is 10.5 cannot, because one is double and one is integer, right? Double can hold the integer, but integer cannot hold the double, right? So all the integer methods has been rejected, right? Because integer, this thing I can just hold, these four thing has been removed, right? Because I cannot use it, because none of these four can hold the decimal, right? So I have left with these two options, right? Now one was double and one was integer. Now the thing is float can hold the integer, but the thing is float cannot hold the double. So that's why the only option left with us is double and double, right? Cool, great. Nice. So now what if I do 9 and 9? Then again you know it, right? Which one will be called? But if I try to force them, right? Byte and float, right? For float I don't need to force, right? It can be just F. Cool. So now I'm forcing it to be a byte and a float. Now what will happen? Which one will be called? Will there be an error?
Float.
Okay, the answer was obvious, right? Earlier also we have seen the same example. Cool, great. So what if now, if I pass long, right, 20L, now what will happen? Byte and long.
Long.
Yes, the answer is right, long. Anyone else also can answer, right? Because the pattern is completely same, right? But the pattern will be broken right now. So the thing is, till here it was fine, right? So let me just, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a long, right, A. Okay. All right. And the same value B. Cool. So this is A and B, and if I'll try to pass A and B, what will be the output, and which method will be called?
If that is the maximum, I mean the most significant bit of long, then int should be called.
Okay. Can you repeat yourself?
I mean, for int 128 is the most significant bit, right? Not most significant bit, sorry, the highest range.
128.
It can for sorry, for byte, sorry, 127.
Yes.
So if for long this number is the highest, then int should be called.
See, is the long having a larger range, or the integer has a larger range?
Int. Sorry, long. Okay, long. Yeah.
See, one basic thing, right? Integer, I
Long.
mean, 8 would be in crore, right? 8 would be a crore. If you find the 8 digit, then the value would be in crores, right? So for the 10 crores, the value should be 9, right? 7 digit salary is more than 10 lakh. 10 lakhs would be 7 digit salary. So 7 digit salary means million in dollars. So that would mean 8 crores per annum. So that's the thing in the US. 7 digit salary is required. In India, it would be 9 digit salary, right? Or 8 digit salary at least, because we want to go into the crores. So 8 digit salary would be crore, 9 digit salary would be tens of the crores, right? So the 10 digit would be hundreds crore, right? But integer can hold up to 214 crore. Long can hold up to 19 digits. So you can write even more than this, right? There is complete, it would be completely fine. And also for this question we should not go over there because it's visible, right? Long, so the method will be called, will be long only, right? It's the most easiest thing, right?
Yeah. Right.
A long can hold 19 digits, right? It's less than 19 digits, right now. So it's completely cool, right? So now let's take one thing, let's just comment it out everything, right? And okay, so over here let's remove this, and let's take integer. Int a equals to 214. Cool. Now if I try to run it, what will be the output? Will the code compile or the code not compile? See, you will get 4 answers, right? It would be like an MCU, right? Whether it will compile time error, runtime error, or the output will be 4 4 to 8 and then zeros, or the answer would be something negative. So what would be the your choice, right? Again, only 10 seconds, right? Otherwise the session will become way too large.
I had a doubt regarding the previous question that you asked.
All right, cool. Let me just copy it. All right, okay. Reverting back time, right? Go on. What doubt you have?
Yeah, so if we are considering a float and a double, we take the highest, which is the double. But when it comes to integers or decimal numbers, why do we take int and not long? I mean, according to the logic that you said, uh,
No, no, no.
uh,
I have never said the maximum we need to use, right? The thing
maximum,
is,
but why not long? Why int?
what what's the data size of a long?
8 bytes?
And what's the data size of integer?
4?
Okay, great. So how many times you have faced this scenario that you are using a number with more than 214 crore 70 lakh something? How many times this has happened with you in your entire career right now that you need to use the number greater than this as a single
Okay.
value?
Yeah, yeah. So the answer is just logical. Uh, I mean, whichever is logical, we're just using that.
Yes. If the language has been developed in some country like in Malaysia or some Thailand where they have, or in Venezuela where they have a 10 lakh note, right? 10 lakh 20 lakh note, then the things would be different, right? Then the default value would have been long. It Otherwise what will happen, we will be wasting half of the memory for no reason, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, so again moving back to our this question, right? What will be the output? 10 seconds again. Will it compile or not compile? At least answer this thing. All right. See, the variable names was A and A. Yeah, you're not taking. How can two variables will be there, right? Okay. Again, I'm closing it. Right now, the variable name is B. What will happen now? Will it compile or not compile? All right. See, it will compile, right? Because it's within the range of A and B, right? Why will it not compile? All right. So, what will be the output? Runtime error, compile time error, okay, or negative value or the positive value? The answer would be negative value. I'm audible?
Yeah.
Why negative value? Because we have crossed the range of an integer, right? All right, cool. Again, all right. So let's take this and 8, right? And yeah, 8 9. Now what will happen if I try to run this code? Compile time error, runtime error, or negative value or positive value?
Negative value again?
All
Or
right. The answer would be compile time error. Because the thing is, we have just crossed the range of an integer, right? The integer can hold up to 2 crore 14 lakhs something, right? I have made it 2 crore 15 lakhs. 200, sorry, my bad. 214 crore and then 70 lakhs. So I have made it 215 crore. So that's why. And the default value will be of integer, right? Whether I try to pass it as this or I try to pass it as this also, then too it will not be acceptable, right? The answer would be integer number too large, right? Integer cannot hold the value. It is outside the range of an integer, this number, right? That's why it will be compile time error. Cool.
yeah.
All right, so these were the questions regarding regarding the overloading, right? And now we have just seen examples of two data types, right? So the everything else will be easier than whatever you have done right till now. Everything else will be easier. And the thing is, you can add just 3, right? You can add it 3, the logic will be same, right? If you try to pass 2 integer 1 long and you have just a single item, over here you have long C as well, and if you try to pass 2 integer and 1 long, then this method will be called, right? Because long will be taken care by long only, and the integer can hold the value of longs. Cool.
Yeah, sorry. Again, Back to the older question. When you pass the values of 2 crore in the, I mean, while calling it in the south, math.add there,
Okay.
not declaring a variable, just passing it in the call.
Which line number?
You were passing values more than 2 crore, 2 crore 14 lakhs.
In this class or in the runner class?
Runner class.
Okay. All right. Yes. Now,
Yeah, so yeah, can we not declare the variables?
can we not declare the
And
variables as in directly?
Directly passed from method.
yeah,
Okay,
right.
directly pass the values. Okay, we have done. Try to do that thing also, right? It will be same, right? If you are not mentioning L over here, then it will be treated as an integer, right? And we cannot
Okay,
hold
so
the value cannot be hold. Okay, I will try to run this. Then again, the same output will be there, right? Integer number too large, because it
okay, so it
expects if you are,
doesn't
yeah, go
okay,
on.
so it doesn't implicitly convert it into long
No,
unless and
no,
until we specify L.
no, no. Yes.
Okay,
Because the
got
thing
it.
is, the method, I mean, it's not being passed in the method. That's the thing. We are, because the thing is, this number, Java will try to convert it into integer, right? Because the default mathematic integer is the integer data type, right? Because it will try to convert into the integer data type of Java, which would be impossible because the range will cross the range which the Java has. That would be 2 crore 14 lakh, 214 crore 70 lakh something, right? So that's it.
Okay, okay,
So
got it.
it's
Yeah.
okay. So the concept that we have seen, what it's called? Alright. So the thing that we have said, okay, one more thing, right? Right now we had the values, right? Like we had the integer, right? If I don't have any integer, I have just long and long, right? I have just long and long, and now if I try to, okay, now if I try to pass this value, right? Now I have only long, right? In addition, if I try to run this, will it work or not? Because I have inside the my math I have removed everything else. Okay, let me remove the float as well, right? I have removed everything else. What will happen?
It should work. I mean, long should be called because it has no other overloaded method.
No, the thing, it won't work. See, the thing is, the method will not be called, right? The code will not compile. This is compile time error. This is compile time error. We cannot compile this thing, right? But this thing cannot be held by integer in Java, right? Understood?
Yeah, got it. So unless and until we specify L, it doesn't really.
Yes, yes,
I mean,
yes,
long
yes.
doesn't work at all. Okay, yeah, got it.
Okay, okay. Given said that, if I try to reduce the value, right? If I, cause these two things are separate, right? One thing is we cannot compile it, and other thing is now we can compile it. So if I just reduce the values, now what will it call? I mean, okay, let's just take lesser value, right? 20 and 20, 30. Now will it call the long or it will not call the long? Because there is no enter now.
It will not call again because L is not.
Okay, that's exactly why I have asked this question, right? It will call the long. The thing is, you are not, I mean, I think I'm not able to convey properly. Am I audible?
Sorry, I'm not able to make a phone call.
Okay, am I audible? Hello? Hello? Am I
Okay,
audible?
you are audible.
Okay, cool, great. So the thing is, the code will compile, right? If I try it, it will be, if I try to hold the value of the value equals to 215 and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, then the code will not compile, right? Because during the compilation only the Java will know that okay, the int value is there, right? And I cannot hold this value in the integer, so let's make sure that the code is not compiled, right? Make sense?
Yeah.
It will happen not with integer only, right? You can take the byte as well, and you can try to hold 127, right? It's completely fine, right? When if you try to use 127, but as soon as you go with 128, it's error, right? It's not with the long only, it's with every language you try to use, I mean every data type you try to use, right? So that would be the one thing. So similar thing will happen if you try to hold the same thing that's happening over here, integer value, and then whatever we are trying to hold, then this is the same thing, the thing that the compiler is checking, okay, this integer can hold this value or not, right? Same thing will happen if I not write this and directly try to put the value over here. Then Java will check this value, right? It will check entire values that we haven't defined, right? It will check entire value whether it falls in the range of integer or not. If not, then you won't be able to compile the code. Okay.
Okay, so again here also the default range we check for is integer.
Cause default type is of integer, that's why we check the range of integer.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So anyone else having an issue? See that this thing is complex, right? It's not like it's easy. It takes some time to understand or grasp these concepts. So if you have any doubts regarding these, so please speak up right now. Anything, you can have any doubts, right? Because we have gone through the basics, right? Why it should be there, right? Why it's required, why it should be there. So if you have any doubts, you can say it right now. Let me just stop the recording, otherwise the recording range will be larger. Alright, so let's see some basic examples now over here. So see, this is the code, right? This is the code that I have, m1 method I have, and I want to pass this 10. Is it valid or is it invalid?
Valid.
Valid.
Yes, valid, right? Now this thing,
Invalid.
Invalid.
why?
Char cannot be converted into int.
Okay, great. Then now this thing,
Valid.
yes, valid. It would be valid. Invalid. Why valid? See, over here it's
Oh, okay.
right, and you are trying to pass the larger value. See, if my method is of larger data size, right, then it can hold the value of lesser data size. But if I have a method with the larger data size, the smaller data size, I cannot be able to hold the method of,
Okay.
right? Understood? We will see some of these examples as well.
Okay.
All right, next one. Fourth, M4.
Yeah, valid.
Okay, int char float, right? Int char float, right? Valid. Nice. Fifth,
Invalid because it's missing a parameter.
Not valid.
Yes, because over here it's 3 parameters, right? And I'm trying to pass
Yeah.
2 parameters. Okay. So see, now the one thing that you need to understand is of a concept called, I mean we have already seen it, right? But I will let you know the name of the concept as well. Tail here is completely fine, right? Tail here is completely fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say now I just remove this thing. I'll just bring back some of the everything I've just brought back, right? So entire code I have, right? Now you are aware which method will be called, right? 2030. Which method will be called? No point to guess, right? Integer, right? Intent. Cool. But what if what if I pass a value? Okay, what if it was way too easy, right, to understand these things, because my math was having these easier. Okay, let's just keep, okay, not this, right? Let me just comment out everything, right? I will push it down. All right. So now what I will do, I have 20 and 30. Cool. So instead of, I have one int. Cool. A plus b. Great int I have. Now another thing that I have is byte a, right, and int b. Cool. Next thing that I have is int a and byte b. Cool. And then the next thing I have is, okay, let's remove this and just copy and this is paste, and then long a int b, then the output needs to be long, and the next will be the float a, and okay, cool. So the random values I have used, right? Double, and over here it will be double a and int b, right? And I will reverse it also, right? It can be int a and float b. Cool. Right, got it? So now if I try to call this method, now which method will be called? I have a lot of methods, right? Let me just comment it out as well. Okay, which method will be called? I have a byte, int, long int, float int. Which method will be called? Is screen visible?
Yeah. It should be int.
Yes, because I have a method of int, then it will be directly go to int and int only. Cool. All right. So this was the easiest one. I mean, everything is easy, right? If we know the output. Cool. So now the thing is, if I have float. Okay, not float. Okay, byte int byte int and int byte, right? So if I take byte a equals to 10, int b equals to 20, then which method will be called?
Byte int.
Okay, byte int byte, right? Okay, it would be int, and it will be long, and this will be float t, and t. This will be int. Okay, my bad, it's float and int, and it will be float and float. My bad, I have to type a lot. Float, cool. This will be double and int. Okay. Okay, great. So now this case, uh, okay, so what was the answer? You were trying to say that byte and int will be called, right? So the answer would be byte and int, right? Because explicitly I am saying that please go to the byte and int, right? But what about if I have byte and byte? But okay, byte and int, right? So if I have byte and byte, now which method will be called?
Will it be interlinked?
Int.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Any guesses? Is it? Are you all right with intent? All right. Cool. The thing. Okay. Okay. What was the logic that you mentioned that it can be int and int?
Because we do not have a byte. So I mean, like, I was thinking that compiler would get confused and instead use intent.
All right. Great. The language that you have used is completely correct. The compiler is still confused, right? The compiler is still confused. Over here, the compiler don't know which one to call because there are two methods that it can call, right? Because the thing is, what we have done, what we have seen was the primitive examples that okay, the value size is larger, so we can go over there, right? But that's not how internally Java is working, right? Let me give you an example. The topic that is called upcasting and downcasting. See what was really happening behind the scenes. If I have long and long, right? If I have something in the case, let's just remove this. Let me just show you the case of an example. Okay, let me comment out this also. And just create an example of public and integer, right? Integer add, right? And int a and int b. Sys out. Okay, I could have just copied int and int, right? Okay, just copy it. Cool. So if I try to run it now, the answer, oh my bad. If I try to run it now, the answer will be int and int, right? Int and int, visible?
Yeah.
So what has happened? It's not simply doing okay, int is there, so let's use it, right? It's not, this thing is not happening, right? There is a flow in which we upcast or downcast a variable, right? Because the thing is, right now I have a type byte, right? And over here, what can I have? I have integer only, right? So okay, all right. So let me just ask you one more thing, right? This is very interesting topic. If I have short, right, the return type would be integer only, right? Okay, let's just copy paste it, right? I have the values of byte, but I have short as well. What will be the output in this case? Will it use byte or will it use integer? I mean, byte is not there, right? I have only short and integer. Everything else has been committed out. What will be the output now?
Int, because again by default it is int.
No.
See, there is nothing of default that's happening over here, right? There is nothing default that is happening because byte is byte is I have hard coded the values to byte and byte, right? And when I'm trying to add it, okay, my bad. Okay, I forgot to write it here short, right? So the thing is, the byte is here, but I haven't explicitly said it, right, that it would be an int. If I don't say it, right, directly, if I just commit it out, or if I just remove it, and if I just now put it inside this, right, now this would be int and int because this is the default values, right? Int and is called. But if I'm explicitly saying that okay, please use short because I have short in my arsenal, right? then it will use the closest value, right? And it's following a path. It's not like it's directly checking that okay, int will be default and I'll go to the int, right? Int will be in the cases where you are not defining the value, right? And it will be in the case where you are directly passing the value. In that case, it will be treated as int only. But for this, I don't expect any one of you to know it. Okay, given the history, so my bad. Okay, so let me just open and what's happening. Okay, hoops concept. So this is a part of hoops, right? What we are doing, overloading. So what we are doing overloading. Okay, bad. And then here a concept called typecasting happens, right? I was using byte, right? So there was a flow in which it will go. The byte will be converted first into short, and then it will be checked whether it will work or not. So over here, first of all, the a value will be, byte and byte it's not over here, right? Byte and byte is not over here, so we cannot use byte and byte. So instead of giving an error, it will try to check whether if I change the value of a by upcasting, right? So if I am trying to change the value of a by upcasting, then I will go with the short, right? Then it will check whether the a I can use a or not, and with short I can use a, right? So it will stop by typecasting it to upcasting it to short. It will stop at the short at that particular moment. Then it will go to the b, and b will not work, right? So it will try to upcast it also. And how will it upcast? From byte it will try to upcast it into the short. So this will be okay. This will be also upcasted to short, and short will be over here, so it will be called, right? And if the short is not there, then what will happen? It will follow the same pattern. From byte it will go to the short, and if short is not there, then it will go to the integer, right? So right now, because I have removed the short part, and now if I try to run it, it will call integer, right? And even if I remove the integer, then I place the long and then long over here, right? Then if I try to run it over here, then it will run with the long, right? Okay, intent is because this thing is long, and now also I need to do, right? So got it how it's doing it internally? It's doing the upcasting of the variables that we are trying to pass, and upcasting goes in this way. All right, I'm audible?
Yeah.
All right, so now we know about the upcasting and downcasting. So now we will and see the downcasting part is a farce, right? Because we cannot hold the values, so you will get the error. It's just showing you the concept, right? We cannot pass a double in and get the other thing, right? We can forcefully try to convert, but there will be lossy, and it's not recommended, right? Because the same thing will happen, right? 100 plus 100 minus 51. So that's the magic you will see if you try to downcast, forcefully downcast the things, right? So never do it on the production. All right, cool. So now we know how the upcasting works. Now let's get back to our original. Oh shit, 11. Okay, now gets back to our original question, right? And the original question was, okay, not completely. Okay, from here to here. All right. So why there is an error when I'm trying to upcast this thing, while I'm trying to run this, right now? How many types of methods are there, right? See, okay, that's completely cool. Just ignore the one problem. It's there because there is an error from the calling part, right? So I have byte and int, right? I have int and byte. I have int and int as well, right? So one might think that if there is an int and int, we can directly call an int and int, right? But things does not go in this way, because the process is I will take a and try to convert it into, and we'll check that okay, will it work or not work. So I will go inside my math and check, okay, there is a byte, right? So the second thing I need to convert, right? So one possible way for this thing is that I convert byte into short first, right? Byte into short first, then integer, right? So is there anything like byte and short, right? Byte and short is not there, right? Byte and short is not there. So what I have to do, I have to do two conversions, right? I have to jump from byte to short, then from short to int. So two conversions, 2 times upcast I require, right, for this. So there is one solution with two times upcast, right? 2 times upcast is required, right, for this. Good. Clear this thing? Hello? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Alright.
Abhishek.
So 2 times upcast is required if I wanted to use this thing, right? Now this side, right, int and byte. So this is byte A and int B, right? And then there is int and B, right? So over here also 2 times upcast required, right? Anyone having any doubt regarding this? Because byte is already in byte, I need to convert int A, right, into, I need to convert byte into int, right? So 2 upcast required, right? From byte to short, short to int. So I have now two cases where I can use with the byte. Now the int and int solution, right? For int and int solution, I require 4 upcast, right? 2 for this integer, 2 for this integer, right? And for this, I require 3 plus 2, 5 upcast, right? Why 5 upcast? Byte to float, 1, 2, 3 upcast, and byte to int, 2 upcast, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my bad. It would be 6 upcast, right? And then over here, it would be 6 upcast, right? Anyone having any doubts regarding this? What I'm doing right now? All right, cool. So see, in a normal case, it will choose a value with the lowest upcast, right, required. But the thing is, for the lowest upcast, I have 2 candidates right now, right? Isn't it? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. Abhishek.
And this is the thing, if I try to run the code, then what it's saying, a reference to add is ambiguous. Why ambiguous? Because there is 2 ways, right? There is 2 ways to call the method, right? I'm not sure which one to call, right? And see, you can check with the error also, right? So what it's saying, that I can call both method, add byte int and add int byte, has a match. See, has a match visible. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
So this is the same thing it's saying, right? That this also has a match, int byte and byte int, both has a match, right? So that's why how it chooses, it chooses with the lowest upcast that we require, right? But in this particular scenario, with the lowest upcast that we require to call a particular overloaded method, we are having ambiguity because both is there, right? If I just remove a single one, right, now there will be a single candidate, right, with the lowest upcast required, right? Then this byte int will be called. Got it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So there are many more cases also that we can cover, but again the time is less, so I think this is enough, and let me just end the